Hi, I'm Paul Germain. Welcome to another session of Smart Boating. As you know, if you watched the show before, we cover a variety of topics from winterization to man overboard. And the general idea is to provide you with some information that will let you make smarter decisions and have more fun on the water. Today's show is a very timely one. It's our annual Christmas gift show. And joining me to help ferret through these different Christmas gift ideas is a very experienced local captain, Edward Cushing. Welcome, Edward.
Thank you, Paul. Ho, ho, ho. It's great to be here.
That's right. That's right. We got a fun show today and one that's particularly timely because the holidays are in view. But before we get into it, can you share a little bit about your boating background?
Well, sure. I've been a sailor most of my adult life, even pre-adult. And also, I've done a few other shows with you regarding prepping of boats for sale and things like that. And then I just recently sold a 41-foot sailboat, and we're in the process of buying a powerboat.
Right. So that's a big
pretty
switch
exciting.
over. And you have a deep background in sailing, right? You've done some transoceanic voyages
Yes,
on
I've done a few
sailboats, right?
transatlantic races.
Yeah.
And more than a few more localized Bermuda and Halifax and things of that sort. It's been a continuing adventure.
Right. So you've logged a lot of nautical miles under your keel, so to speak, right?
Right.
All right.
Exactly.
Between our combined experience, I think we've got some good Christmas gift ideas here.
Yes,
today.
I think so. You've been very good at your choosing.
Well, I hope so. It was only with your guidance. But let's get right into it because we've got a lot to cover. We've got it grouped. But a couple points that I want to make here. One is that it's a sampling of all the gift ideas that are available. So this isn't the end of the universe, but it's a good start for a lot of people. And secondly, we're going to be showing examples of products. So if someone says, oh, that looks like a really good idea, but I can only get in this other brand, the other brand could be equally as good. So we're not promoting any particular brands here today. We're just saying these are good ideas to keep in mind, right? So let's look, if we look at it like by season, we start with winter, which is where we are right now, really. I think a good gift is something along the lines of what we got set up here on our little target shot here, magazines. It's, 30 degrees or so out today. You can't go boating, not comfortably, but you can certainly enjoy the experience through magazines. And we've got a couple magazines up here. We've got Sail for sailors. We got Boating magazine, which is kind of oriented towards power boats. And then the third one we got up here is Soundings, which my experience has been they kind of cover both sides of the fence, sail and power. What do you think of that, a gift subscription to a magazine like that in terms of a gift idea?
You can't go wrong with a gift subscription. Magazines are a great way to let your imagination run wild. Safely.
That's right. And you pick up a lot of good ideas, right?
Absolutely.
So you say, oh, well, that's the way, we're going to be showing a fendering system lately. Oh, that's a new way of doing fenders, or maybe that's a new maintenance procedure. You've just got the power boat. So there's probably a lot of ground that you may not be as familiar with on the diesels or the joysticks, whatever else, that you could pick up tips and knowledge during the winter, right?
Absolutely. This new boat is a target-rich gift opportunity.
It really is, yeah. All right, well, that's a good idea, and I love to get subscriptions to boating magazines for year-round viewing. Another thing in that, in that camp, if you will, are charts. Can you help share with us why it's important to boaters to have up-to-date charts and why that's such a good gift?
Well, charts are timeless. They have been around since men and women first crossed the seas. But essentially, a paper chart gives you a perspective that you cannot get on a 7-inch electronic screen.
Right.
It gives you the whole spectrum of where you are and or where you want to be going. And it does it in a very easy to understand. Plus, these new ones are plastic, so they're pretty waterproof.
Yes.
And durable under most any condition, except you don't want them blowing overboard, so you got to keep them weighted.
Right. But typically in a larger boat, you got a secure area.
Right.
And
I love these. I mean, I think they're terrific. We had paper charts before in those big books, but they started to get tired once the water hit them.
So you don't want to go with the just your electronics, and you can get these paper charts. These are about $50 a pop, so for your local area. So that's a nice idea. And here's another one that I think you're very familiar with. This is the Eldridge Tide book. What's the background of this, and how have you felt it would be useful for you? Why would it be a good gift?
Well, Eldridge came out with this idea that with the ebb and flow of tides, you create currents. Currents can drag you towards your target or away from it.
Right.
And basically, this has sort of the whole northeast coast in currents. They have little chit-chats about different destinations, and it's invaluable. It just gives you some deep background on where you're headed.
The fundamentals. And it's short money. It's like $15. So
Right.
that's
and it's
great.
been very popular.
Great value.
I always give a few out as Christmas gifts.
Right. I know you like to get that as a Christmas
I
gift
do.
too. Yes, yes. So we make it through the winter, which is not easy around here, but we do, obviously. And so come spring, and this is, I think, is a good gift. You know, my boat is close to 50 years old. Your boat's a little newer, but it's red. In either case, it's really important to keep those boats looking nice. You have to clean them well, and you have to protect them well.
Right.
And it's critical. And so I think a kit like this that has the boat wash in it, has some vinyl cleaners, and has a really high quality wax is a great gift.
Absolutely. You know, waxing your boat is like your car, only it's getting beaten up under twice as tough conditions.
Yes.
So these Meguiar is a very solid product and has been around for years.
Yep. And there's other good manufacturers too, like 3M and Colonite and so on. But the concept of getting a kit, high quality materials, great gift. Here's just a little item. So a lot of people have stocking stuffers, you know, so they have big gifts. So this is only $5. And it's very simple. It's a zipper lubricant. And I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and he was zipping up his canvas, and he couldn't zip it. The zippers were frozen. He had to actually cut the zipper out of it to close the canvas. So, and a lot of people have that trouble around here, the salt water. So I think just something like this for $5, it's a nice little Christmas gift.
I didn't know it existed, but in the zipper environment I am looking forward to, I will definitely be getting one of these containers.
Yes, yes. Well, let's take that. So you protect your boat, and then you've got, you know, it's the summer season, you go down to your boat, and I think what can be a good gift is a bag like this. This is a tote bag with a zipper on it. You could get something like this, you could get something like an LL Bean style, but the point is, for me, what I found is that I have a lot of stuff I need to get together into one bag, and I need to zipper it because oftentimes the bag hits the dock and you hit a wave or it lands wrong, and all your stuff, your wallet, your cell phone, everything can go towards the water. So you want a bag, and you want a zipper bag, right?
Right. Well, this is good because it is waterproof. It does zip up. It's also got a bag you can keep all your valuables in, like your phone and your wallet, without having to dive through the whole bag.
Right.
But and it's a unique color.
It's very bright. And something like that is not too bad. It's like $45, $50, something like that. A very good investment I found. Again, look for the zipper. That's really important.
Right.
Most people, including myself, bring their smartphone with them. You know, you want to stay in touch and keep everything moving smoothly. So you need a case, right? So it's mandatory for me when I get near the boat, I put my smartphone in the case and I zip it up, because otherwise you get a little water in that and you get an issue. So what do you think of that as a Christmas gift?
Can't go wrong. I mean, protecting your $500, $600, $700 investment is
yeah, they're
short
expensive,
money.
Aren't they? Yeah,
They really are expensive.
These aren't cheap. They're like $60, but certainly worth protecting that larger investment.
It is literally a good insurance policy.
Right. Well, let's take a look at the next item here. This one's kind of different. This is what they call a fender bucket, or it's a Tyonli boat dock fender holder. And you'd screw it into the dock over where you are, right? The dock would go right underneath it. And you got the 3 screws that go down. And that's how you attach it to the dock.
Mm-hmm.
And then you put the fender inside the holder, just like that.
Right. Well, this is designed for people who have rent their own personal slips in a larger marina environment,
Mm-hmm.
because these little things are not inexpensive, and you won't find them just anywhere. You can set them up in your space so that you minimize your own mix-ups.
Right. Well, this is nice because when you come into the slip and when you exit the slip, you can take the fender out with you, and then when you get back, you put it in the exact same spot, because this anchors the fender to a spot in the dock.
And it makes a good bounce protection.
Right, yeah, and you can use it either with a fender in it, which gives you the most protection, or without. So this is a fairly new product, so this is something I think a lot of people are going to be interested in getting, so whether they're coming aside it or coming with a stern into it, it's going to prevent a lot of scrapes and bumps.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we've got another product here. This is a cooler bag, and as you and I grew up, we worked with styrofoam containers, which were really helpful, actually.
Mm-hmm.
But recently, there's been some new technology let out, and this is an example of it. This has got some different materials for the shell and for the inside, and some sort of insulation in between, and they're pretty effective at keeping things cold, aren't they?
Well, I have experience with the thermal cup that you just put on the table, and that has been terrific. How long it will hold ice cubes for,
Yes.
or a hot drink. It's quite remarkable.
Right.
So these things are highly recommended. Maybe a little bit more pricey than what you're used to seeing,
Yes.
but they make up for it in extended time and minimal number of bags of ice you have to put into it.
Yeah, that's about $250. But they are, like you say, they are more durable than the old ones, and they have a tremendous difference in their ability to keep things cold.
Right.
And why don't you take that, and we'll show this tumbler. And this is where oftentimes people start. I know I've got a couple of these. And it's just the new approach to keeping things cold in terms of the way they make the walls, inside and outside, and the insulating materials. There's a demonstrable difference between how long this keeps something cold and when, it will get hot if it's just in a regular water bottle.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really a nice thing.
Well, these are great because they've designed it so they'll fit into everyone's cup holder.
Yep.
But then it gets a little bigger above that.
Yes, it
So
flares
gives
out.
30 ounces, they're saying this one's going to hold.
Yep. And that's, I don't know, that's about $35. Now, a lot of people have boats, and particularly guys, they like to go fishing, and they say, well, how can I get my young daughter or my granddaughter interested in fishing, right? And so if they get her an outfit like this, the Disney Princess rod and reel set, this could be something that would really get her in the mood, right?
I guess so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they don't have this big, long rod and reel, and this is a nice size for them. It's the color
It's
scheme
safe.
they might like.
They won't spear anybody with it.
Yeah.
And it's a starter kit.
A nice little
I think
way
this
to
is
go.
a rubber weight.
Yeah. So if you've got a
Very
young
nice.
angler on board and you want to get them involved with the fishing, that's a good way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, if we move towards older people, perhaps closer in age to you and me, this is a little different item, but I find it tremendously effective. It's a serrated folding knife. It's a rigger's knife. On a boat, I find myself cutting lines. Could be safety. It could be a fishing line wrapped around the propeller, or just a dock line, cutting hoses, and a straight blade won't do it. You have to have a serrated one. What do you think of something like this for a Christmas gift?
Well, Paul, I never believe you've ever wrapped your prop with a line.
Thank you, Edward.
But that would be helpful, very helpful for a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Even in emergencies especially.
Right. So that's a great gift idea. That's about $27. Another one I think is a great gift idea is a waterproof flashlight. Now they have different degrees of water integrity. In other words, how far you can take it down in depths of water. But I find myself, I'm in the bilge, I'm in the cabin, I'm someplace, and typically there's not enough light. So to have a flashlight, whether I'm on board or overboard checking something out, to have a good flashlight is a great Christmas gift.
Never have enough flashlights around because they're never where you want them when you need them.
Right. And they're never charged or
Right.
they're too weak or, just, I don't know, something that's often overlooked, but I think it's a great gift.
This one comes with batteries.
Yeah, that's kind of nice, huh? Now, the boating environment is super fun, as you and I know. We've both been boaters for a long time. But things can happen quickly. There's a lot of moving machinery going on. There's a lot of things whipping around, which makes it exciting, but sometimes there can be an accident. And so something as simple as this, a first aid kit, I think can be a great gift.
It's very important to have even a modest kit on board because, you can stab yourself with your new Princess fishing rod or...
Right. Or cut yourself with a knife.
Or cut yourself with a knife.
Mm-hmm.
And very important to have.
Yeah. It's something so overlooked. It's not big money. It's about $40, but when you need it, you need it, and it's just a great thing to have. Now, if we switch gears a little bit into electronics, this is one that I think a lot of people, particularly younger people, would be aware of. It's a GoPro camera, and of course, as you know, they're waterproof, and they can do a lot of stuff from voice activation. They can do slow motion. They can do different levels of video, and I can see, I when I go out in the afternoons, oftentimes I see a lot of boats rafted up together, and I can see the kids just having a ball with this thing, putting it on and go swimming around the boats.
Right.
What do you think?
They're great. Just don't get me in there swimming around.
Don't get you in there swimming around? Well,
Yeah.
maybe other fish or
I'd
other
be
wildlife.
mistaken for something else.
No, you wouldn't. No, but so this is a little more expensive gift. This is around $400, but again, they're very, very popular, and you could use it, of course, on the boat, or if you went skiing, or out on the trails, or whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty cool. It's got a real wow factor to it, if you will. All right,
Yes.
let's take that one. This is one that, again, can be oftentimes overlooked, but I don't think it should be. And this is a VHF. And it's a floating VHF because, as you know, it's better not to be constrained by cell towers on land if you've got a problem, right? Can you talk to that a little bit? Why would you want a VHF, a good VHF, as opposed to a cell phone?
Well, despite what people think about their cell phones being bulletproof and all encompassing, once you go over that horizon in your boat, a cell phone tower can suddenly disappear.
Right.
And that signal.
Right.
And VHF gives you a whole other wavelength to communicate on, from emergency channels to weather channels to just general chat channels.
Right.
And those are the things that these things are good for.
Yeah.
And it's another in your safety arsenal.
Yeah, you don't want to discard this. And again, one of the things I think is neat about these newer ones is that they're fully waterproof and they're submersible. So, I've seen stories in some of these magazines we talked about early on where a boat would overturn, say a 19-foot Mako or or something, and fortunately the radio came out of the boat and floated.
Right.
And the people could call for help. And if that radio had not been waterproof and floating, forget about it.
And a lot of these new VHS even have their GPS positioning on it.
Yes.
So when you're calling for help, you can actually give them some coordinates so they know where to begin to look instead of combing the whole bay looking for you.
It's a big ocean out there.
It's a very big ocean.
Yep. Now, you were explaining at the beginning of our show that you were now involved with a new powerboat. And typically whenever anyone makes a new purchase like that, the electronics have sometimes, they worked and people used them, but sometimes when a new boat owner gets a new boat, they start to look actively for the electronics again. So this is an example of what someone might come across. This is GPS, and it's a chart plotter, and it's got fish finding capability as well. So what I've noticed over the years is that the screens get larger, they get more capable, and they get more bright. Have you seen that, or has that been your experience as well?
Yes, well, I did spend a little time at my local electronics store because, as I said, with this new boat purchase, we're looking at a time capsule now. It's a 20-year-old boat with basically 20-year-old electronics on board.
Yes.
Not that there's nothing wrong with what they have.
Right, they work.
But the new ones, like in your car, the new ones, you can expand or shrink the screen by finger touch.
Yep.
And that is really a terrific aspect of what these new electronics can do. And the processing time is pretty instantaneous. So you're not waiting for it to warm up for 2 or 3 minutes.
Right, just come right on.
And some of the electronics, they can go with straight GPS and positioning, or radar and GPS, or combinations of both.
Yeah.
So it's just a wonderful world out there of safety choices.
It's a great Christmas gift.
Yeah, absolutely.
Take that one out. That's a great example. A lot of good manufacturers do this, Raytheon and Garmin and Simrad and just Funo, just a ton of them out there. I thought we might switch gears here for a second and talk a little bit about clothing. It's again one of those things you tend to overlook, but I think about when I'm out there oftentimes, there can be a good swell and a chop, and you don't always get to choose how you're angling on those waves. And so I see every now and then quite a bit of spray. And so I like, when I'm building my wardrobe, even in the summer, I'm looking for shorts oftentimes, and I'm looking for fast drying shorts. So when they get wet, which they will, they'll dry quickly, and I won't be uncomfortable very long. What do you think about that as a Christmas?
Well, I think the whole clothing scene for boats has really radically changed as people are much more aware of their UV liabilities.
Yeah. Well, this is the drying thing here, and I think that's key. And we're going to talk about UV a little more here. But before we get to the UV, I want to talk about I want fast drying shorts, and I want some warmth. So just something light, but just bear in mind that it's going to typically be cooler on the water than it is on land. So you want something to cover up with a little bit, right?
Yes. Well, when you see these pictures of everyone rocketing around the bay in their center consoles, and they're wearing their T-shirts and shorts, no one's taking into effect the wind chill factor.
Yeah.
Because at 30 knots, you can get cold pretty darn fast.
That's right.
Even as you're hanging on for dear life.
Right. So something like this is very helpful.
This is really helpful.
I'll give that to you. Now, you were just talking about UV protection, and that's a key ingredient these days, and people are much more aware about that today. And now they have the fabrics that can protect you. You don't have to use the suntan lotion everywhere. This one is, I think, UV 50, which is pretty high. And this can make a great choice for someone, particularly if they have sensitive skin, right?
Yes. Well, my partner has several choices on this department and always wears them when she's out on the boat.
Yeah, that's a smart move.
Makes a big difference.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's very, very big. This we can't. Well, yes, we can.
And this is my favorite.
So again,
fall overboard with this, and they'll see you in a nanosecond.
People can see you forever. And this is just a shell. It's an example of a shell. But again, I find I'm out there, I'm cutting the waves in a certain direction, the wind is blowing the spray into my face. I want the shorts, I want something underneath, and I want something to keep the water off me, because you're constantly getting water on you, even if it's not raining. So a shell like this, so like $100 or something, they just make a huge difference in your comfort, right?
And, water as well as windbreaker.
Yep. How about a hat? We got a hat here, and again, I see hats becoming more and more popular. Again, because people are very sensitive to the whole skin and skin cancer issue, right?
Well, I think Crocodile Dundee started this whole fad.
Yeah.
But they're great.
Yeah.
They give you some coverage. Don't burn the back of your neck or your ears.
Yeah, they just make particularly après boating that much more comfortable when the sunburns start to show up, right?
Right, exactly.
Yep. And the final thing we have in terms of that is we've just got sneaker here. What's important about this sneaker is that it's got a non-skid bottom. So on my boat, and I know yours as well, I've got some spaces that can get awful slippery when it's wet. So I wear topsiders a lot, but this has the same thing, same type of bottom, but in a different shell. So I think this can be a great Christmas idea.
Well, I think these lace shoes, sneakers are much better than an open-toed sandal, because you have the traction, the stability, and you're not going to fall out of your shoes because you've made a big slip.
Right. So that's a great gift there. We've got just a couple more minutes here, and I want to talk a little bit about safety. You've got an inflatable PFD over there, right?
I do. In fact, these are really what all of us old guys need to have when we're going sailing now, because when you go overboard, your time in the water is limited, and you need one of these just so you can float and be rescued.
Right. This is a fully inflatable offshore version. You hit the water, automatically inflates.
It's got a cartridge which you can pull with a strip, or you can manually inflate it.
Yeah. So that's a great Christmas gift. A person that you love and care for is going to make it back in one piece. And again, here's another safety gift. This is a flare gun, so people would say, well, why? What's the importance of that? Well, the importance of that is a couple things. One is safety, because these will launch flares way up in the air where they can be seen. And they tend to have expiration dates, right? So they're not good forever. So that's why, even if you got somebody a flare gun like this a couple of years ago, it might be a good idea to get them another one now, because the warranty on the flares has run out, right?
Right. Well, the flares do have a limited shelf life. But basically, these flares are ideal because they extend the visibility above the horizon, by several hundred feet.
Quite a bit, yeah.
And coordinated with your VHF with GPS coordinates on it, it gives them a visual as well as a verbal target.
And figure out where you are. This is a new product, just came out last year, I think. This is an electronic beacon locator kit. And the difference between this and the flare gun we just showed was the flare gun shoots the flare way up. This doesn't shoot it up. You hold it in your hand. But, I mean, it's a great way to complement what you've already got aboard in terms of flares, isn't it?
Right. And I think it might have the ability you can tie it off on a halyard and pull it up the mast so you can get some more
visibility
height
from it, yeah.
But these are great.
Yeah, this is a brand within the last year or two.
We had one that was a boat that had one built into the top of the mast, so you really could be seen.
Okay. Well, we've only got time for one more item here, Edward, so I'm going to pick this one here. It's a personal EPIRB, and so what that means is if you're a fisherman and you go 20 miles offshore, you hit a rogue wave, you flip off the boat's still good. So a regular boat EPIRB wouldn't help you, but your personal EPIRB is going to notice that you're in the water, going to set up a signal and allow you to get help, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They are a little bit pricey, but they really do give you a good chance.
Yeah, good safety. Well, Edward, we had some more gift ideas, but we're really out of time. So I think we probably should wrap up the show. What's your overview in terms of these types of gifts for boaters?
Well, it seems to me that every year there's a new widget out there that is useful.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
They're filling in all the blank spots. You start out with your primary items, and now there's a whole range of choices within those categories.
Right.
And it's a great thing. You just have to pick and choose what you feel is important for you.
Right, exactly. Thank you for joining me here today.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you, Smart Boaters, for watching this show today. If you have comments or questions or input, just visit us at our website, www.smartboatingus.com. Thank you.